Hi, I'm Governor Matt Meyer, and welcome to Matt Chats. On this podcast, we're talking with change makers. So join me as we sit down with the people who are making a difference and hear how they're working together to lead our way to a better Delaware. Hi, and welcome to Matt Chats, a special Matt Chats. Today, we are on location for the first time in history, in the history of Matt Chats, at Delaware State Park. Here with Secretary Greg Patterson of the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control. Secretary Patterson, tell us where we are right now.
So we are in the amphitheater area at Brandywine Creek State Park. This is in basically the northernmost part of Delaware, and to somebody who grew up in Kent County and still lives in Dover, like I do, this is an amazing landscape. We have 1,100 acres, 16 miles of trails. You have these rolling hills and stone walls. This was a former DuPont family estate, like a lot of land in this area. It was used for raising cattle for a couple of centuries before it became part of Delaware State Parks in the 60s, and then a big expansion in the 80s. You can do mountain biking here, canoeing, fishing. There's a disc golf course, but one of the most popular things here is our Hawk Watch, where you can watch the birds, but also just get a view, especially this time of year, of the hills and the amazing fall foliage.
Wow, amazing. Shout out to Woodlawn trustees, Winterter, and a whole bunch of community people who made this park possible.
Yep, all of our parks tend to be people who are really conservation-minded, want to preserve land, and it all kind of comes together in each park to put together these amazing spaces.
So we're sitting here. You said we're up north, in the northern part of the state. I bet we might be in one of the coldest places in Delaware today, and we're outside. We got a nice little bonfire set up here in the bonfire pit at the amphitheater. So we're keeping warm. Secretary Patterson, talk a little bit about your journey to be the Secretary of DNREC. You've worked for a few governors. You've been in the state for a minute.
Yeah. So I grew up in Dover, graduated Dover High School, went to college down south to be a newspaper reporter. And I was actually a newspaper reporter for a couple of years in South Carolina before I came back and took an opportunity to work for Ruth Ann Minner when she was lieutenant governor. And I had always been interested in public service. I was one of those teenagers who worked on political campaigns when I was in high school. And I just felt like I wanted to be someplace where you make a difference and make your community and in my case, my home state, a better place. And so that started with Ruth Ann as lieutenant governor, and I was her communications director when she was governor. I later worked for Governor Jack Markell doing legislative relations and being deputy chief of staff. Later after that, I was Governor Carney's infrastructure coordinator, trying to spend wisely all the infrastructure dollars that came from President Biden and the Congress for all sorts of roads and bridges and broadband and water systems, and trying to make sure that we improved all of those systems for the future. And in between those times, working for governors, I worked in the Department of Justice. I worked here at DNREC. I work in the insurance department. So I have had kind of the unique ability to be in the governor's office, working on things from that macro statewide level, but also be in agencies where your day-to-day job is to, one, try and run everything that is your responsibility competently, but also carry out the new things and the expansions that the governor or the legislature or the public or advocates want you to do.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Secretary Patterson. That's decades of service to the people of Delaware, almost always behind the scenes in ways that they never saw. It's an interesting time right now in our country, and an interesting time for a lot of Americans right now, and particularly with respect to the environment. You have a president who probably is not going to say the words climate change. If he does, it's probably going to be in a derogatory way. But what additional responsibility do you think we have right now?
So besides being a proud state employee, my core identity is as a girl dad. So I think of a lot of things in terms of Disney princess movies. And in Frozen 2, there is a moment, a low moment where there is a song that is, in order to move forward in a challenging time, you have to do the next right thing. And for us in Delaware, in those of us who care about the environment like you and I do, we have to just keep trying to do the next right thing. And regardless of what happens at the federal level, which the challenges are not only from the policy perspective, but also the funding perspective, about 24% of DNREC's budget is federal funding, various grants to do all of the things that the federal government has traditionally supported. So we need to try and carry on both the mission of improving the environment, protecting the environment, and carrying out all of the responsibilities that DNREC and state government has in the absence of the support of the federal government. And you have talked with us at the cabinet about we're going to keep doing our job. We're going to find a way to keep on mission, and so that means we are not going to give up on our environmental responsibilities. We're looking at some ways of expanding our protections. There's a conversation that we'll be having in the next year about expanded protections of freshwater wetlands because the federal government has stepped away from that. And if you don't find some way to protect them, they're going to disappear.
Mm-hmm. And I find it ironic that, not to make it too personal, but there are some people in Washington who are trying to underfund or defund various efforts like protecting freshwater wetlands, like potentially protecting our beach and our coastline, who then spend their weekends at our beaches and coastline. So, a lot of the beneficiaries don't necessarily want to provide the federal support that has traditionally come. And we appreciate that. We need to make sure Delawareans know that they're protected, that we understand the climate is changing, and sometimes that takes bold action, hopefully with the federal government. But if not, we'll work with other states or without other states, and we'll get it done.
Yeah. I mean, the reality is climate change is real, and Delaware is feeling the effects of it kind of more and probably earlier than a lot of places are because we are a coastal state, because we are such a low-lying state, and the beaches and our coastline are precisely where that is happening. We've just gone through some recent storms that really ate away at our beaches and some of the protections, caused some flooding that is happening more and more often, not only in storms, but on sunny days because the sea level has been rising. And so one of the things that you and I talked about, that we talk about a lot, is making sure that we prepare those coastal communities for that we do what we can to protect the infrastructure so that the flooding doesn't affect people's lives as much, doesn't cut them off from services that they need. And that's getting harder to do without the traditional federal funding support that we've got for that.
Yeah.
We normally would look to the federal government for a lot of the funding to put sand back on our beaches, both in an emergency response and also just generally every 5 or 6 years. And right now, we're not quite sure whether that funding is going to be there.
Yeah, but we'll follow Frozen 2 and just do the next right thing.
Right.
I guess. Just keep moving forward. Something I worry a lot about is that Delaware is pretty different from the Delaware that you and I grew up in, across the state, but especially in Sussex County. I feel like Delaware kind of got hot a little bit. Like it became a cool place to be, certainly a cool place to retire. Many places across this state have been sort of sleepy small towns. And now I fear that several of them and more of them are getting overrun is probably too strong a word, but people want to be there and they want to live there because it's a sleepy small town. And the more people that want to be there, number one, the less it becomes a sleepy small town. And number two, the more there are threats to the environment, threats to I know you're not DelDOT. There are threats to traffic, threats to healthcare. And so how do you think we manage the pressure we feel to create jobs, make sure employers can expand, make sure there are opportunities to develop, make sure there's opportunities to provide affordable housing while still protecting? Like right now, we're sitting in an idyllic, beautiful open space. And to think that there are open spaces anywhere in our state like this that are being destroyed by development is something we need to figure out.
Right. You know, the way I think about this is everything, in government generally, and certainly in the DNREC realm, exists on a spectrum. And you can either have kind of unchecked development and make economic development and jobs your 100% priority regardless of anything else, or you can protect everything and have no jobs and nothing new. And those are the extremes, and that's hypothetical. But our job is to find the balance between them. And I think over time that kind of shifts back and forth in the history of state government as I've seen it. And I think we are at a place where we have to continue to find that balance right now. The responsibility of DNREC and our 700 employees who not only maintain state parks like this, but also protect the air and the water and the soil and the coastline through a lot of our permitting processes. Their job is not to stop development. It's also not to make sure the jobs happen. That is the responsibility of other agencies that we work with. Our job is to try and protect the resources as the inevitable growth happens. And so there is a little bit of a tension there. And a lot of the projects that we get involved in that you and I have talked about, what we are trying to do is have that growth happen in as responsible a way as possible. And can you do this a little differently? Can you move the building? Can you move the houses a little bit so that it doesn't impact a stream? It stays away from a wetland. And while we're doing that on the permitting side, we're also adding constantly to spaces like this, adding to our state parks, adding to our wildlife areas, adding to our natural areas, so that people do continue to have these types of spaces as we have more developed areas, more houses, more businesses. So it's all about balance.
Great. No, that's fantastic. So among our open spaces, our state parks, our amazing state parks, what's your favorite?
Well, I was told when I took this job I wasn't allowed to name a favorite. I'm a guy who vacationed in the mountains growing up in Vermont, went to college in the Shenandoah Valley. So Brandywine Creek, where we are right now, is the closest you get in Delaware to that. The rolling hills, the stone walls, especially again in the fall here, it is just an amazing place to hike through. The one that I have probably spent the most time in my life is down almost all the way at the extreme other end of the state, Trap Pond State Park near Laurel, which if people haven't been to that one, it has the northernmost stand of cypress trees, which are trees that literally grow in the water, and we have canoe trails and boat rides you can take that just circle around these really peaceful stands of trees in the water. I used to camp there as a Boy Scout when I was growing up, and spent a lot of time there, just sitting on the edge of the water, looking out into it, canoeing there, and so that is one of my favorites.
Have you been there as DNREC secretary yet?
I have not been there. I'm going there soon. We constantly try and again balance recreational opportunities and preservation, and one of the things that is starting up there is a splash zone for kids and families in the area to be able to come out and have someplace in the summer nearby to play. It's at a corner of the state that could use a little more active recreation. So that is something that we're hoping to be able to offer to folks next summer.
My guess is most of the people listening to us right now have never been to Trap Pond State Park outside of Laurel. So it's a great ad to stop by if you have some kids. Go to it's called the Splash Splash Pond?
Splash Zone will
Splash
open
Zone.
next summer. Yeah.
Splash Zone coming this summer. Tell me about some of the other fun things. DNREC, it's like a constant stream of amazing events and exciting things going on, particularly in our state parks program. Can you talk about some of the exciting things going on that people should know about?
Sure, and I am constantly amazed by how much goes on here. Through the summer, there are concerts in our parks. Some of the ones in some of the upstate parks are well known, like Bellevue at the amphitheater there. But there are weekly summer concert series in parks all through the state, including our downstate parks like Killens Pond, which is pretty near where I live. It's kind of the park for Kent County. There are summer camps and activities for kids through all of our parks. In the fall, we're getting into hay rides and nature walks through these beautiful forests. Fort Delaware is part of the state park system. And there are ghost tours that go on there. I'm going to go on one of those pretty soon.
Do you think there are actually ghosts there?
I'm going to find out. But it's really amazing the breadth of activities that go on in our state parks. And while it's starting to get colder, like it is, those activities go on through the winter. One of the highlights of the winter season is on New Year's Day. There are free hikes in all of our parks to encourage people to get outside.
Great. Yeah, I've done that. Me and Carrie Evelyn Harris, the current majority leader, years and years ago, before she was the majority leader and I was the governor, we took advantage of that. Listen, this is a great conversation. We really appreciate your service to the state. You did start as a journalist, so I feel obligated to ask you about what just sort of in closing, what do you want the public to know about our work together?
My sense of state government, which I've now spent almost 27 years in, is there are...
I don't know if you're watching on video or just listening, but Greg Patterson, if you think he's done 27 years, that means he started at the age of 5. This guy's the best looking 30-something or however old you are that you've ever seen.
53.
Anyway, 50.
But, this is a time where it has been very easy to criticize state government. A lot of people criticize government in general, but there are things that I think are very important for government to do. And the thing that keeps me here and that I think keeps DNREC's 700 employees full-time all year and 1,400 employees when we staff up for the summer in all our state parks, what I think we all share is a belief that there are some things that only state government can do. There is no one else who has the ability to protect our air and our water and our soil the way that we do. There is, few organizations that could have a park or a wildlife area like we have. And so I very much value and try and show my appreciation for all of the employees of DNREC who sometimes take criticism for the way we do things, the speed at which we do things. But there's a lot of responsibility here. The story of state government is always that there's more things to do than there's time and resources to do. But I am very proud of the employees of this agency and everybody that works together to try and advance these initiatives every day.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Secretary Patterson, and the tremendous leadership and staff of our Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control, doing extraordinary work that you probably don't see as a citizen, trying to protect your air, land, and water every single day. And if you want to help out, if you want to participate, the best thing you can do is go spend a little time in a beautiful park. I mean, it is idyllic here. We're sitting here on a Friday morning, and I'm trying to think, where am I going to camp out this weekend and spend the weekend here? It's absolutely beautiful. Thanks for coming on to Matt Chats, and everyone have a great day.